Good afternoon fans, and welcome back to round 3 final round coverage of the Makaripi tournament held in Rotorua. I'm Jake Brennan, and I'd like to welcome into the comm booth Mr. Winner himself, Henry Pearson.
Jake, a pleasure to join you for this final round coverage. A couple of great Kiwi talents on the card. Sullivan leading the charge as he has done at this tournament for the last couple of years. The two-time defending champion looks to secure another win in Rotorua.
Good, and hot on his heels, Mario. Shooting 9 down, a little bit behind the pace. He'll be looking to catch up here. Mario is a crafty player. I've really loved playing with him and just watching him hit his tight lines. He'll be looking to make a move.
Third on the card, the man to my left, Jake Brennan. He's slowly starting to rise up the ranks here in the northern part of the country. Had 4 down for the tournament. A few back from Mario, but a close battle for third.
And hot on my heels, the man himself, Henry Pearson. I see you copying my putt there, Henry, but I suppose, just whatever gets it in the basket for you. I like to take Henry under my wing a little bit and show him a few things, but we'll see how he goes this round. I mean, he's worked really hard to be here and he deserves to be on the lead card, don't you, mate? Anyway, enough of that. Hole 1, as we've seen before, par 4, 132 metres. So really just hit the gap straight, land in the fairway. Distance isn't so key off the tee if you're just looking to 3. A good drive will hit the corner here and then hyzer in towards the basket. I think everyone on the card is going to be looking for the 2, but at minimum 3.
Jake talking a very confident game early on in the picture. Jacko leads us off with a kahu in hand.
Looked really good out the hand. Good skip too. Just a little bit behind the tree. He'll be about 12-13 out for his putt.
So conditions on the day a little bit more overcast than we saw in rounds 1 and 2, which were both played on the Saturday. This on Sunday. A little cooler, a little wetter at times.
Mario just grip blocking that one, hitting the tree, but he'll be in a pretty good place there. He'll be playing for 3. I'm actually throwing the disc that you gave me, Henry, here. You might recognise it, the tie-dye one.
That I do. That would be a Ballista Pro 14-speed latitude distance driver, and looks pretty sweet in the air. Great line right up there next to Jacko's disc on the left.
Now, Henry, at 132 metres, do you have the distance for this?
Look, I'd like to think so, but I'm not wearing a tight enough top to see all my muscles, unlike you. This is a Star Destroyer.
Excellent drive. That's a really well played hole for the card, actually.
I think actions, Jake, sometimes speak a little louder than words.
Mario just looking to skip this one around the corner and put it close. He'll be a little bit further out than he was hoping for, maybe about 7 or 8 metres. Henry, are you going to lay out for this one, or are you looking to run it?
Certainly looking to run this one. It's a clear bit, and probably at the back edge of C2.
Yeah, good layup there. Jacko here, looking to make his 2. Yeah, just seemed to hyzer out a little bit early on him.
Jake from roughly 15 metres, and he's absolutely cashed it. What a start to the round, making a statement very early, both with the tightness of that top and with the size of that putt. An eagle 2 on hole number 1. You don't see him here often.
And see how I kept my composure there very nicely, didn't show emotions and just played it cool. So Mario here, about 8 metres out, looking to save 3.
And he's off to a good start.
Yeah, he'll be looking to close that gap early on Jacko. Jacko here with a pretty short putt to take his birdie.
boy.
Oh, he'll want that one back. Rough start from Jacko. I think he's just allowing Mario to get a little bit closer to make the round just a little bit more competitive, but you know, something for us to talk about here in the con booth.
Very generous of him to afford us that privilege on coverage.
Still the card playing at 4 down, so hot start for your lead card here. Smiles everywhere, except for Jacko probably.
We move on to hole number 2, a par 3, short at 86, might play a little longer than that, but key here is just to avoid the left hand side. It slopes gently round to the left at the end of the hole. Players will probably be throwing a fairway driver with a little bit of overstability at the end to kick into a green that starts to open up as you enter the circle. Jake to lead us off after an exceptional 2 on the first hole.
Yeah, so I'm going with the same disc I threw. I felt like it was feeling pretty good in the hand, so I just thought I'd try it again. Probably a bit too much disc for the hole, but we'll see what happens. And I just don't think I committed to the hole, and I made the mistake that we shouldn't make. Hyzer out early. Mario played this hole exceptionally well in round 2. If you didn't see that shot, go back and watch it. We'll be looking to repeat something similar. Wow. And just like the man said, hook up, around the corner, and that's a putt. Sweet. What are you throwing here off the tee, Henry?
That's a very special disc called an Inferno Champion Firebird, which is a sister disc to a Warpig, both of which are Disc Golf United special edition releases in combination with Innova. A little early release though, and Jacko now closes out on the hole. This might be one of those elusive minty peka-pekas.
Ooh, about a foot or 2 off from making that gap there. Now this is not where you want to be off the tee, Henry.
No, not at all. I think we'll see a little bit of scramble on this hole. Jack, can you tell us a bit about how you were feeling heading into the round?
Well, I was feeling it was kind of a two-way battle. I felt like you were hot on my heels there, just one shot back to start with, but I feel like Jacko and Mario had given themselves a pretty commanding lead, so it was almost a 2-horse race 2 ways. I always think by round 3 all the nerves have sort of settled and you're really into your round and you're just focused on playing a good round of golf. But an eagle on the 1 certainly helps. Jacko clipping a tree there, but he'll still make circle 1.
Not a bad bit from deep in C2, even C3. Yeah, to save par. Mario really with the only decent shot out of the group. This one for birdie.
Oh, that man is on fire. Just like that, he closes the gap down on Jacko to 1 after 2 holes. Slow start from the defending champion. And that's how to erase a hot start with a bogey.
Yeah, Jacko will feel pretty comfortable going into this round with his stellar record at Rotorua, but it's not as great a start. He'd certainly look to make a birdie on the first hole.
Here we go, hole 3, 112 metres. I feel like it plays a little bit shorter just with the shot shape. Players are going to look to hit the gap, fade something from a little bit of a left to right, and then finish with a bit of a hyzer into this tight protected green. Even if you crash the tree here and fall down, you'll still have a scramble putt. Such a beautiful green. Actually, a lot of the greens here are really nice to look at and putt on.
Well, many are guarded by those very large, beautiful redwood trees, which you'll see here lining this fairway. And so they make for pretty towering boundaries on fairways and greens up and around this course. It looked like a mid out of Chaco, maybe a Kutuku.
Yeah, he's still on the Kutuku all 3 rounds actually on that hole. Now out of the hand I thought I absolutely yanked this.
That's parked, is it?
Turned out alright.
How good. What did you throw there?
That's an Insanity.
Is that an MVP mould, is it?
That's one that I picked up from the Winnow shop actually.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Escapes my memory.
Oh, and hitting that tree. One thing I noticed about hitting a redwoods, you definitely know you hit them. It makes that all too familiar thud sound.
Yeah, particularly when you hit dead centre.
And this shot. Nice, and what a scramble.
Pretty good scramble from there. That was an ESP zone. Very beaten up to the point where it flies pretty much dead straight. I'll probably use that quite a bit around the course today.
What's your thoughts on changing discs between shots and whatnot there, or do you like to find a disc that's working well with you and stick to that?
It's a good question because I think it sort of depends on how I'm feeling on the day, and on a course like this where accuracy really is key, as opposed to a combination of accuracy and distance, I'm quite happy to rely on a disc that I feel quite comfortable with, that I know is going to pop out of the hand at the right time, and the zone just seemed to be that disc of the day, so highly likely that you'll see it in my hand every now and again.
Yeah.
Jack, how about yourself? How do you feel about that?
I normally give a disc one chance, and if it goes wrong once, then it's in the bag and it's not coming back out for the round. So as long as the disc behaves, it gets another chance, I guess. But I think you just got to keep it fun sometimes, and I suppose whatever I reach into the bag and pull out, that's what I'll throw. Now, true story, I actually had the card looking about 50 metres back for the disc, and it almost started the timer. But anyway, here we go, hole 4, sponsored by Winnow. Well, there. So 126 metres, par 3. Tough get. You want to pump it straight down and not fade out too early or not hyzer out, but just something straight. Even if you throw 115, you'll have yourself a bit of a putt. Really low basket.
All the boys here will be putting full force behind a high-speed driver. Jake, that, I think if I recall correctly, is a destroyer.
That is a destroyer, and that is not the gap.
The tournament here at Makaripi has always been a staple on the New Zealand tour, but the first time we're enjoying it on coverage, so a big thank you to Paul and the crew at T-Box Media for making the trip down from Auckland to cover this event. And be sure to leave them a like and subscribe to the channel for a variety of videos ahead as the 2023 tour season comes to a close.
And Paul really appreciates your support. He's always looking to pick up new subscribers, and it means a lot to him. So I'm not really known as a forehand player, but I thought I'd give this one a buzz. Any critiques, Henry?
Interesting choice of disc to throw a 14 speed from roughly 85 out, but I know for you it's a work in progress, so I'm not going to be too harsh in my criticism. Do you think that's fair, Jack?
I pride myself on being one of the worst forehand players in the MPO field, and it just doesn't seem to change. Oh, Jacko just leaving himself a little bit longer putt than he would have liked there. He was about 30 centimetres behind me, so I got to see his line and I seen him hit the tree, and this is what someone looks like in fast motion.
That was real speed, it was just Jake being nervous. Easy as she does it. Long look here from maybe 45-50 feet.
Very close. Now, do you rate yourself from just outside circle 2? Are you always trying to give it a bit of a bid, or what's your strategy there?
I think so. I've got a sort of an angle on my putt which is slightly nose down, meaning that I feel quite comfortable to give it a good run from outside the circle, knowing that it's probably not going to go that far past. And I'd like to think I make more of them on the field, or more of them than others in the field, so it's a chance to gain some shots perhaps.
Yeah, I think it's a strong part of your game, the putting. Speaking of strong parts of the game, I've seen Mario hit about 3 putts now from 6-7 metres out, so looking really confident on the green.
Jack taps in and adds another colour to his scorecard. Still 1 under on the day, but a bit up and down. Not those camera nerves at all, is it, Jack?
Just keep it exciting, man. Keep it close.
McBeast's commemorative 6 claws coming this week to Winnow, Tuesday, the 21st of February. Move on to hole 5, it's a par 4, 150 metres. A dogleg right, and players will be looking to play out into this open section of the fairway, which is roughly 95 metres off the tee, to leave pretty straightforward putt and approach, upshot to an open green.
Seems so simple. Hyzer and then straight shot, right? I mean, it's the shots we practice on the field.
Well, the real challenge on this hole is this tee shot, because there are a few obstacles in your way, and it leaves only a couple of lines clear of debris.
And I feel on this one, you really want to put a bit of power behind it, and whenever I put a bit of power behind something and there's a Mando in the way, I'm always a little bit nervous. You look a little bit silly when you miss the Mando at full power.
That looked pretty sharp from Jacko. A little long, but there's not too much in his way out the back there.
Do you think about going low gap, or you've been going high gap every round?
Well, I initially went low gap to start with, and it kind of didn't go as well as I hoped, but I followed your lead with a high gap. That's a bit lower than I would have liked to have thrown out of the hand, but to get above that and into the open section of the canopies is probably your best bet. Am I right in recalling you prefer the high gap as opposed to the low gap?
Yeah, I think, like all South Island lads, when in doubt, high hyzer.
And that is in position A, with a very clear look to the basket from there.
So Mario looking to get a bit creative with his shot here.
That's what I deserve for risking it.
That's what you get for risking it. Are you trying to go for the basket, or are you just trying to get around the corner here?
It's a pretty tight angle, so very ambitious to think I could get to the basket, but it'd feel like a win to get at least to the mouth of the green. I haven't quite done that, but I think I'll be left with somewhat of an open approach. Mario seemed incredibly comfortable from this range all weekend, usually with a Ruru in hand.
Hardest shot in disc golf, isn't it? Straight shot, low ceiling, when you can see the basket.
It seemed almost characteristic of Mario though to throw that low little nose up burner. I think if I recall correctly, he has an ultimate background, so that might help. Great drive of yours.
If you played Ultimate with Mario, leave a comment below and tell us. A little bit long there. We'll give a circle's edge on the comeback. Here's that zone of yours again, straight zone.
Second time's at the knee on the hole, but I do find it provides a bit more stability in terms of a base of support. And that one worked out well. Jake for birdie. Cashed. Great putt.
Keeping that up and down start going. Why par? Oh, Jacko.
Jacko on a bit of a flat line to date through 5 holes. Still yet to make a move either up or down, which is maybe not what he's after, but certainly no damage done. And Mario remains hot on his heels at just 1 back. Jake, you've had a really interesting start with an eagle, 2 birdies and 2 bogeys. Do you feel at this point in the round, I suppose, a sense of confidence, a sense of uncertainty? Both, neither?
Well, I know that there's that man there who is eyeing up my spot at 3rd place. So I guess you can never feel too comfortable. It only takes really 1 hole for everything to swing round, doesn't it? But when you're yet to par, you can never feel too confident. But here we go, hole 6, my weakness, 4-hand hole, 75 metres. What you want to do is push straight and then finish somewhere to the right. If you choose the backhand gap, it's really tight through these trees, but it is the higher percentage to park the hole. We've seen a few of the card hit this gap on round 2. Let's see what they do this one.
That looked pretty serviceable.
Serviceable at 14 speed driver on a 75 metre hole, but whatever gets the job done.
Well, Mario's not far behind you. I think I can recognise the Kahu logo on that disc in hand.
And he gets through and gives himself that Mario distance putt that he's been making all day. Pretty much a tap in for him. Jacko went tight line last round. He tries to go tight again and hits one of the Guardians. I think that's a really common mistake a lot of people make.
And the further right you push through that gap, the more trees you've got to contend with. So I quite like your play out through that wide portion of the fairway and then scooping back to the right at the end towards the basket. I'm sort of trying to emulate it, but lucky to sneak through to that position.
Jacko was still a little bit of work to do. And he puts it pretty close. So I found myself directly behind the tree, probably the worst spot you could get inside the circle. Just wasn't very happy with that bid, but yourself to close the gap, just outside C1 I think. Looking to give this one a good run. A little low in the cage there. Dogs put you off?
I'm pretty used to it. I've got my guide dog puppy Max with me for the tournament, and there he is in the background, is prone at times to perking up, so the dog distractions are something I'm accustomed to, but the low misses are quite typical with me, so anyone's guess really what happened on that one.
And just like that, we have it all tied up at the top. 12 apiece, 6 holes down, third of the way through. Mario's making this a bit of a competition. Jacko's helping him with just parring his way around the course.
We move forward to hole number 7. It's a 106 metre par 3. Players are forced to progress down this tunnel here approximately 90 metres before the hole skirts slightly to the right to an open green lined by some long grass and tussocks. A big forehand or a turnover backhand with a fairway driver is optimal. And that just about had the source. A little straighter down that last part of the tunnel and he would have had it. Interesting choice with the ballista. What's you thinking here?
It's a flippy driver and I've got no forehand. That's pretty much my thoughts really.
Right.
I was thinking don't miss to the right side. Jail once again in the trees there, so I think the mistake is pushing long or hyzering out to the left. As I say that, Jacko finds the right hand side. He gets quite far down the fairway, so I think he'll have a little bit of a look out and a look to get into the basket. Yourself, you've been working quite hard on your forehand. Serviceable at 106 metres?
It's getting there. I don't know that I quite have the distance, but I feel more confident in this than a turnover backhand. Probably a little bit of an early release, but
gets quite lucky with that kick.
Indeed.
Now, I think you'll find it'll be one of the only MPO players that will pitch in with a 14 speed driver and still leave it short.
You might have needed a high speed, Jake.
They don't make them, Henry. Not yet. Now yourself, you were running the winnow shop when this tournament was going, so you were on that and had the guide dog puppy. How'd you find that it's going? Playing the rounds, running the shop. You did that at Nats as well for down South Island Championship. Sorry. How do you feel doing that all?
It is a lot going on a tournament weekend where you'd think that the best strategy for optimum performance is rest between rounds, have a proper warm up, try and keep it as cool as you can between shots, but it makes it hard to do when you've got a few different obligations going on throughout the weekend. So by the time we got home on the end of Sunday night, I was just shattered.
Yeah, it's very common for Henry. If anyone's played with Henry and they see someone running up to the tee pad about 90 seconds before tee off time, that's pretty common for the man. I don't know how you do it, mate.
Well,
I'd be all over the place.
I mean, you've quite literally just described my experience in round 1 of this tournament. About 20 minutes before we teed off, I'd come to realise I'd left some vital equipment back home in Auckland and scrambled to the local warehouse to go and source some replacements, and managed to do that all and get back in time for my tee time with about 20 seconds to spare. Made for a very adrenaline heavy front 9, but
and no one would know. Everyone just sees the shot pop up and this man on lead card and thinks it all just happens. Mario, I don't think that man has missed today. He is making putt after putt. And Jacko continues his par streak. What's that now? 7 in a row pars? He'll be feeling a little bit frustrated, I think. But here we go. Moving on. Very tough birdie. Hole 8, par 3, 86 metres. Distance is never an issue with this one, but it is the tight gap. 2 gaps, left and right. What you want to do is throw something straight for about 70 metres and then finish just hard to the left. Basket is once again in a really nice location, surrounded by trees.
Mario opting for the right hand hallway, but that's a pretty awful kick into the depth of the woods there on the right. Have you got a preference here as to which of those 2 lanes is to your liking?
Yeah, I like to go the inside gap so I can throw something a bit straighter. I suppose, oh, what a rip from Jacko. Oh, just a little bit more. I personally, I like to throw the buzz over something a little bit more stable. So I think the buzz I can push straighter and then just let it fade to the left at the end. Yourself, you going the wide gap?
Yeah, my thinking here is that left hand trouble to the left of the two lanes is pretty dense and almost guarantees a bogey if you end up in it. So if I am going to clip a tree, I'd rather clip it away from that dense stuff on the left and hopefully leave myself with enough open air to get close to the basket with my approach shot. Jake Brennan, buzz in hand, down the left hand side. Probably a little bit of forward momentum there that'll help and give you a reasonable look to the green.
So scramble here from Mario. I think this is his first real chance of taking a bogey. Oh, and doesn't quite make the gap. This course can do that to you. Super quick, it can just run away. Yourself, you're going for a jump putt approach?
Yeah, I'm a long way out here, but I'm not going to throw it any further than, past the basket with a jump putt. So anywhere in the circle's good, and that assures that it would be. Beautiful upshot there with a berg.
It was a berg. I wasn't going to go too long with that. What would you say to new players learning that skill to jump putt, let's say 20, 30, 40 metres?
I think you start small and you work your way out. The most important putting really happens within the circle, and as you start to become more and more comfortable, then you'd work in a longer stroke into your game, I think. But it would seem a little silly to me to start kicking on and working on it on those outside looks when it's early days and you're just getting your stroke figured out. So
here we go, our card tapping in their pars for hole 8. Jacko picking up the only birdie and his first of the round. Just made a little remark there. He'll be happy to finally get one under his belt.
And with Mario poised to tap in for bogey, he will take a 2-shot lead.
That's right.
Going into the closing hole of the front 9.
The 2-shot swing. And he's still got a smile on his face. Mario was such a good sport all weekend.
The penultimate hole on the front 9, it's a par 3, 85 metres. A low tunnel shot's required to a green there guarded by 2 guardians on the left. Something that's going to skirt up down the right hand side and leave you an open putt at the mouth of the green is perfect. Jacko with what might be a strata kutuku. He's tugged it a little bit, but that's a straight mid and probably characteristic of the discs that you'll see thrown by all 4 boys on the card. I've got a glow 2 in hand, which is a bit more understable.
Henry, how nice is it to play on a card where you know other people's discs and you know their flight numbers and you know the stability of them and you can sort of get a bit of a read off them?
It certainly helps. I suppose it's akin to a wind read in some respects, where knowing how those discs fly for others informs how you might select your own disc going into the hole. So certainly an advantage, but something that we're becoming more and more accustomed to, I think, as we play with familiar faces in Auckland. Do you feel much the same?
Oh, absolutely. Myself, I don't throw a lot of RPM, and I remember last round that I was playing with the RPM players, they talking about their first run Kahoos, and it's a little bit foreign to me, to be honest. But playing with likes of yourself, Henry and I play a lot of rounds together, so very familiar with your bag and getting lots of reads off what you're throwing, just even for distance.
Jacko with a tidy up, he'll tap in for a 3 to close out a clean front 9. That looked pretty tidy. Good height. A little bit offline.
I wanted that one. I've missed this hole 3 from 3 now. Yourself to give it a floaty bid. Money. What a putt. You going to give us a smile? No. Oh, and you get the reef. Now he's giving us a smile in the comm booth. Not on the field though.
It's a funny one. Under one branch, over another, and just catches the right hand side of the cup.
Kind of suits your putting style, the over one, under another, sort of the dipping down.
Indeed.
I know Ricky Waisaki actually practices that way, over something, under something else, and into the basket.
There is probably a similar flight, isn't it? That
Hey, I can compare you to Ricky. You can't compare yourself to Ricky, all right? It's just
fair enough. It is slightly ambitious, I think, of me to even consider.
Yeah, Ricky's not quite
Such a
at that
comparison.
level. Yeah.
And with that, we close out the front nine of the final round here at Makaripi 2023. Jake, a good start. A little bit up and down.
Who is that guy? That is Max, the guide dog puppy, who's with us in the comm booth today. So, I think the story of the round, Mario closing up on Jacko, coming within 1. And you and I still in a tight battle down there for our 3rd place finish.
2 battles being had in the back nine, one for first place and the other for 3rd. We'll see you on the back nine in just a jiffy.
Things are heating up.
Thanks for tuning into T-Box Media back nine. Final round coverage coming up. Do like and subscribe. We'll see you soon.